Hey there, my name is Rich. I'm one of the co-founders of Product Gym. And today's video, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about how to double up revenue for a tech bootcamp. So this video is for anybody that is either in the tech bootcamp business or in some kind of career coaching business, or you have a career transition school, like you're in skills trade, I don't know, helping people break into like nursing, medical assistants, anything that basically requires like taking somebody from point A to point B in a job. So if you guys don't know about my background, my company focuses on a few key areas. Number one, software product management. Number two, QA engineering. Number three, tech sales. And then number four, cyber security. So I'm going to be talking to you about if you are in the vertical of helping people make career transitions or helping people job hunt, this is basically what you would need to do to double up revenue. So there's three KPIs that I focus on in doubling up revenue. Number one is consultations. How many calls are you going to get booked and how many of those calls are actually showing up? Number two is actually admissions. How many people are paying up? And then number three is actually testimonials. So if we can double up the number of calls that you're going on, and we can double up the number of sales, and we can go out there and double up your testimonials, you essentially can go out there and double up revenue. Applying any amount of impact to any one of these three areas, you're going to see a very positive financial return on your bottom line. So let's go ahead and break each and every one of these down. This is an overview video. So largely, I'm not going to go into very detailed specifics, but I will in future videos. Let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to schedule a call with me to see how it is that I can go and help you out, I do provide consulting services for other boot camps, and then excuse me, and then also other coaching or career coaching services. You can schedule a call with me in the link, and the two types of services that I provide are actually either giving you high-level strategy and how you can execute it and working with your team, or helping you guys staff for very key positions, people that I know that can help you take this completely off of your plate. So let's go ahead and talk about these three key areas. CANT, what I've dubbed internally with my own team as the CAT framework. So consultations, admissions, testimonials. Consultations is basically calls that are actually getting booked. So there's a few things that we can go out there and do to book calls. Largely, all of them work. If you are utilizing all four of them in unison, you're going to have a very dangerous consultation machine. So what are you going to do? There's a few things that you can focus on. Number one is content. Number two is actually paid ads. That's a very, I would say, very common one, especially for boot camps and schools with a little bit more money. The third thing that you can go out there and do is some form of outreach. And then I would say the fourth thing is having some type of community, online community. So let's go ahead and talk about all four of these right now. So content, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, basically anywhere where content lives, you should go out there and do it. If you 10x the amount of content that you actually record, publish, just get out there in the market, you're going to go out there and you're going to see 10 times more revenue. That's just basically a fact. If you haven't read the book, $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi, I absolutely recommend it. Content is going to do wonders for your business. Content on especially YouTube and LinkedIn, I found to be a very dangerous combo because people need to absorb a certain amount of information before they can really work up the courage to go out there and schedule a call with you. When people schedule a call, they know this is a business. They know they're going to get sold. And they also know the chances of you closing them are pretty high. So this is what stops a lot of people from going out to a car lot and test driving a car, even though it costs them nothing. They know the amount of social pressure that is going to be applied to them to pull the trigger and make a purchase is extremely high. And they will pull themselves back from doing it because, number one, people succumb to, I think, social and peer pressure pretty easily. And the other thing here is Doing research and due diligence on all of the competition requires time, energy, and effort, and people don't want to work that hard. Like even researching what's the best program for them to do, let's just say there's 20, 30 cybersecurity programs. It's largely going to come down to maybe a lot of the people are going to pay within the first 2 schools that they're going to go out there and call. That's just a fact. You're either getting there first or you're not getting there at all, right? And it comes down to sometimes just timing. Sometimes people pay another program just because they couldn't get somebody on the phone with our program. That's a fact. So what do you have to do to kind of pre-sell them? Publish as much content as possible and also show as much content as possible. Today, I'm on vacation. I'm actually out here in Thailand right now, kind of enjoying time with my family. And generally speaking, if you go to my YouTube channel on Product Gym, if you go to my other YouTube channels that's got my face on it, I actually just do a Loom share. I think Loom sharing is just so easy because I can just click and go versus like all of that fancy editing. Like this right now is just done on my MacBook because I just want to go out there and show people as much as possible. So when they're coming in from my YouTube, they're already pretty much primed up, ready to pay. So content, very important. Recording content often, publishing that content often, and then also promoting that content and cross-promoting that content is very, very, very important. Where a lot of people get this part wrong is overthinking what should they go out there and create, over-analyzing the data, and they should just drop as much content as possible. Just make it part of your routine. Drop it, and also make sure that there's a designated owner, a content marketing coordinator that's managing the content calendar to make sure that it's constantly being promoted correctly. If you drop more content and it's constantly and consistently being promoted across all of your channels, you'll go out there and print cash. Next thing that you can go out there and do, I think it's highly, highly, highly overlooked, is actually outreach. Having like a designated owner, again, this is also something that you can staff or overseas. I can help you out with this. But like most companies, I see that they're so spoiled. Their sales teams, or admissions teams, are so spoiled with just new leads coming in from ads. Yeah, but like, what about actually going on the offensive? Most companies have largely given up on this lead generation methodology of actually cold generating leads. And I think it's a shame that it's becoming a lost art, because when I was working business development and tech recruiting, that was my background. Like that's actually how I made the majority of my business. And you can do that, but the friction's extremely high. And a lot of people actually, they don't want to do it. And because they don't want to do it, and companies can't force their teams to go out there and do it, a lot of companies unfortunately don't do it. But outreach, that's also another great channel. The next thing that you can actually do is actually paid ads. Ads work well, and if you have the budget, but every time that the platform changes the algorithm, you basically have to spend more money to test. And these platforms like Google ads, Instagram ads, Facebook ads, they are financially incentivized that every single time you crack the code is like, oh, you're making way too much money off of us. They actually just pretty much just pull the rug from underneath you, and then they really make the majority of their money from actually you testing and testing and testing and testing and testing. So ads are great. Ads are also pretty scalable if you have the budget, but the drawback is you're also spending so much more cash. It definitely needs to be a component of what it is that you're doing in terms of generating leads and putting calls booked onto your calendar. But like, I don't really think that that's the sole channel that you should be relying on. And the drawback with that is actually finding either a really good person to be able to run that for you in-house. I actually have those people if you want them. They're not easy to find, or finding a good agency. I know a few too, but they're also not easy to go ahead and find. But once you actually do have them, you also have to find a way to go ahead and keep them, which is not easy because they're such a metric business. It's such a metric-driven field that they know the value that they bring. So eventually they will keep asking you for more and more and more and more and more money. But if it makes money, it makes sense, right? So you can go out there and cut out a rate for them. The next thing that I would absolutely recommend is actually having an online community. And you can run this off of Facebook groups, Discord. My personal favorite is School by Alex Hormozy and his team. It's a very easy to use platform, and it primes people up so that you can actually get a better show up rate, because with the content that you have going out there, like YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or any other one of those channels, you're throwing the message out, and maybe they throw some messages back, and maybe there's a little bit of communication. But I'm going to go into this in some other videos really soon, where school is a really good platform for you to have like cross communication. It's just so much easier to manage that. And it lets you engage with them for a certain number of hours, because the biggest drawback with all of these different lead generation forms or strategies is basically this: getting a better show up rate. If you booking those calls is, honestly speaking, 20% of the battle, you still got to get these people to show up. If they show up, you have a much better chance of actually closing them. But if they don't show up, you kind of, straight out of luck. So the more value that they see up front, the higher the probability of them showing up, because you have a much more engaged target demographic. For us, we're getting a close to like 90% show up rate right now, but we also give so much information for free. The drawback that we kind of have sometimes is like people feel like, well, I'm getting all this great information for free and we appreciate what you guys are doing, but so why should I pay you guys now? And that's where having a really killer admissions team is going to help you guys out. So let's go out there and talk about admissions. The way that you can really scale admissions is going to be actually having a 100% commission sales team. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, now I know this Asian guy's freaking lying. That's not possible. It is possible to have a 100% commission admissions team for your high ticket coaching offer, but they're not easy to go ahead and find. And again, like anything else, this team has to be properly incentivized. But the economics of it, running any type of school high ticket coaching offer, any type of like boot camp, if you pay people on base, which I'm assuming a lot of people have to, it's about like 60 or 70K a year. And they will get to the point, this is actually the drawback, they will get to the point where they realize there's only so much money they can go out there and make. Because they will know their conversion rate. 6 calls converts to 1 payment, however much your payment is. 8 calls convert to 1 payment. And for every offer, there is a ceiling on how much the market is willing to go out there and pay for it. If you're just talking about this, generally speaking, about like what your program is worth, is like, okay, like in my programs, we're getting like people like, sometimes 150, 200, 300K jobs. But what is the market willing to pay to acquire that outcome? Sometimes, depending on your program, it might be a 6K program, it might be a 15K program, it might be a 30K program, but there is a cap. Even though your program, and I think a lot of the career coaching boot camps, tech boot camps, career coaches, or trade schools, or like high ticket coaching offers, they're doing a much better job delivering an outcome in terms of like a career perspective, for like better than like an MBA program or a graduate program. But the perceived value with a graduate program, even from a not so well known school, is still more acceptable than the outcome that you're delivering out there into the marketplace. It's unfortunate, but it is true. I don't know of any high ticket coaching offers or bootcamp offers that are 100, 200K, but people will very easily, I got accepted to NYU, I'm going to pop that $97,000 student loan to go out there and get to that school. I think like Columbia University is like $193,000, where I live in New York. So yeah. So in order to make it work, it's like, okay, we can go out there and keep on spending more money on ads, pumping out more content, doing more outreach, blah, blah, blah. You're stacking up a huge team over here that cannot be 100% commission, because nobody operates marketing and lead gen on a 100% commission basis, but there is 100% commission sales. Now we're talking about the middle of your funnel right now. In that area, it's going to make a lot of sense for you to scale up. Now, I'm more than happy to talk to you about how we can actually help you do that, and scaling up, to help you double up revenue by scaling up a 100% commission admissions or sales team. There's a few different channels that you can go out there and use. But again, I'll get to that in another video. But overall, there's two things that you can do here. Number one is you can have a commission team. Number two is obviously you can have better sales and admissions training for your team members that are doing it, whether you're outsourcing it or not. There are better methodologies to get people to pay up faster. But the third thing that is kind of a hybrid between consultations and admissions is actually, do you have a strong follow-up process? So many sales and admissions teams, it's a very unfortunate that they're not doing follow-ups. They do one call, and maybe they follow up with the person one time or two times. But if you take a look at it, your next quota for the month of like 40 to 50, 60 different admissions, or like enrollments, or like your ticket offers, your sales, your rev, it's actually already in your CRM. Because even the worst boot camps that I've consulted, they got like about 2,000-3,000 people in there, and they're like, we're just trying to make 20 enrollments, right? And I'm like, if you just had somebody call them over and over and over and over and over again, your 20's in there. It's a lot of work, I know, but at the same time, that's why I think like you have to outsource that responsibility, because to get American talent or local talent to do that, it's very hard. And a lot of bootcamp owners that I know, they're the original sales manager or the original sales team member, or original sales team of one that was doing it. Nobody enjoys doing follow-up, just like nobody enjoys doing cardio or abs. So it's like, yeah, it works, but like if you don't even do it, how do you expect other people to go ahead and do it, right? And I'm not dumping on you. It just needs to be outsourced, and somebody else can go out there and own that process. Last but definitely not least, we have testimonials. So getting the placements or getting the successful career outcomes, you need to have a clear process for that. If you don't, I honestly think it comes down to, if you don't, that's actually pretty horrible, because there are the scumbag, I think, boot camps and schools that don't even care for it, in which case I don't think they deserve to operate in this industry that we are a part of, especially now when people are desperately looking for a job and they're in a situation that could be very dire. So if they are putting money down, they should absolutely get the promise that you delivered on. But on the placement side, another very big challenge for companies is, well, Rich, how do you guys pump out so many testimonials? You make it part of the admissions process. Let them know up front, we will help deliver this outcome for you, but the thing that you need to do here is you need to provide us with a testimonial when we actually do. If you set the expectation up front early and often, and you're involved with the admissions and you're involved post-admissions, where you are providing them with the overall customer success experience, it just makes it easy for them to want to do it afterwards. If you don't tell them about it up front, and then all of a sudden, even though you're very involved, and then you ask them for it later, they're like, hang on, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, because people need to hear it over and over and over and over again. If you do tell them up front, but like you disappear on them after they paid up, they kind of feel like, well, yes, I thank you for the program, but like it was handled in a very transactional manner. So now all of a sudden you are expecting me to do you a favor, because really it's what's going to do is help you, right? As the business owner, they feel like there's no benefit for them to do it. And another thing I actually tell people and why they should do it is they should just go out there and blow up their brand. If you take a look at every job out there right now, there's a day in the life of this, a day in the life of that. How much do I really make? The day-to-day responsibilities. I actually tell all of my members that are getting jobs, all my people that are getting jobs, they should blow up their brand. Because legitimately speaking, when you have a brand, it's easier for career opportunities, brand deals, and other opportunities, consulting opportunities, coaching opportunities to come to you. Companies think twice before laying you off. Companies think twice before bullying you. When you have a brand, that's essentially your shield, and it opens up so many doors to other opportunities. So when people are like, okay, putting myself out there gives me financial benefit versus it's giving only you financial benefit, I don't know how the hell it benefits me, and it's actually making me kind of feel uncomfortable for me to put myself out there, they're more resistant to actually doing something that you're asking them to do. So making sure that it's always in their benefit is actually the best way to operate. In fact, right now, let's talk about the placement problem a little bit. A lot of boot camps and I would say schools and like career transition programs and coaches, they have a very difficult time driving successful outcomes. This is also a very great way to go out there and motivate your people to do the effort. Who's actually getting the results? There's always going to be the outliers out there that exerted very little effort, and because they had a better background, they had an easier time. But I would say it's only really less than 3%, because those people that did have it easier because they did have a good background, they're largely enrolling in the program because they're buying kind of an insurance policy that if things don't work out, they have this thing to go out there and fall back on, right? But like that's very few people, because most of those people, they would just do it on their own, because they, like, why would they pay a program to do that? If we're talking about the majority of the people that would actually pay for a program out there, they don't actually have it that easy. And it's funny because regardless of what racket that you're in, whenever somebody gets the outcome of like getting XYZ job, obviously they attract a lot of people within the community and also outside of the community to reach out to them and say, how did you do it? They always talk about, well, essentially speaking, I just outworked, outgrind, out-hustled all of you. But what was the motivation for them to go ahead and do so? The motivation always comes back to they view that goal or that outcome as so much bigger, so that the process of getting this job didn't seem as painful. That's where all the mental friction comes from. When people feel that, like, I'm exerting all this effort just to get a job, the goal just doesn't, the effort to reward ratio just isn't there. So the reward itself has to be juicy enough for them to do that. Now, there's a lot of strategies, tips, and tricks, but ultimately, you need to hire somebody to go out there and oversee that effort. All of these different strategies that I tell you right now, I would say hopefully some of it you've already heard before, some of it's not like you don't already know, some of it you might be shocked by, but the one underlying common denominator across the board is that you need to hire people to own these initiatives for you in order to double up revenue. Even if it doesn't make financial sense for you to do it right now, you need to set a goal, a revenue goal, so that it makes financial sense for you to be able to launch, like hire this person to own it. Because any one of these things that I talked about is about a 40 to 50 hour a week initiative. So you need to hire a designated owner, and ultimately I can help you out with that too. I can basically equip this person with the correct training from all these different proven frameworks, but somebody's got to own it, because if you keep operating it lean, then like it's going to always get overlooked. The problem with hiring talent locally, and I'm talking about like US, UK, Canada, is that because of the margins, a lot of times people look at boot camps like it's a wildly profitable business. It is on paper, but if you take a look at, like, you know, it's a digital business at the end of the day, but what's sucking up the majority of the cost? Time. The amount of time it's taking to do all this stuff so that we can deliver successful outcomes is extremely, extremely time consuming, because all these different people move at their own rate. You would think everybody is really urgent in getting this job and they're just going to come out swinging, but they don't. So with that said, you got to hire people overseas, outside the US, UK, Canada, outside of Australia, where you can go out there and buy more time in bulk and actually get scale that way. That's ultimately going to go ahead and actually double up your revenue, is being able to force multiply time. For some of these roles, they can cost you as much as like $90,000 to $100,000, $120,000. Most companies, especially in the current market that we're in right now, you guys just don't have the budget to go out there and keep on adding headcount. So for the same amount of money, you know, $120,000, $10,000 a month, for the person that's doing all of that work, they don't feel like it's a lot of money for them after they get taxed. And because the cost of everything went up, they don't feel like they have enough reward to exert the amount of effort that's required to be even more successful in their job. And largely, even if you're trying to give them a raise, it wouldn't really be that significant where it would be meaningful for them. At the same time, for you, considering everything that you have to pay for operating a business, most of the viewers here will be from America, you don't feel comfortable spending more money, and you know your margins. So unfortunately, in this relationship, nobody's getting what they want. The person that's doing the job doesn't feel like they're getting what they want. The person that's operating the business doesn't feel like they're getting what they want. Everybody's getting stretched thin. So the only way that you can go out there and acquire some scale, hiring overseas. But hiring overseas presents other challenges too, which is like, how do you know these people can go out there and do the job? How do you know these people can go out there and deliver for your market? How do you know this? How do you know that? Well, there are good people, obviously you know that, but you have no bandwidth, no framework, and you don't have the resources to go out there and source these people out. We do. They know how to do it. We do. We have an army of people overseas, and this is how, you're paying somebody a rate. Let's just say to get a real rock star, it's going to cost you about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. That's a rate that makes you feel very comfortable as a business owner. But just understand that outside the US, that's a rate that keeps somebody extremely engaged. So in this scenario, you're getting what you want from the relationship, the employee's getting what they want out of the relationship, so it feels like a win-win. Here, hiring in the States, it feels like a lose-lose because nobody feels like the person's doing the job doesn't feel like they're making enough money, and they feel like you're making all this money. You getting hit with taxes and expenses and payroll, and you're constantly getting your time sucked. You feel like, is it even worth it for me to be operating this business anymore? Because you're just getting chugged away, up, down, left, right, and center, and it's eaten up at all of your margins. So it's like, it looks like I'm making 7 figures, 8 figures, but why do I feel like I'm living paycheck to paycheck? I feel like I just traded my 9 to 7 for 97 job for a 24/7 side hustle, right? You feel like you're a glorified self-employed person, and meanwhile you have all these team members, and you're thinking to yourself like, I'm just working all the time. Nobody's getting what they want. So it's a lose-lose versus a win-win. My name is Rich. As I mentioned before, I'm one of the co-founders at Product Gym. And if you want to go ahead, schedule a call with me to see how it is that I can help you scale up your bootcamp or your career coaching service, your high-ticket offer, reach out. So I'm doing this for other bootcamps, and they've all been telling me like I should create more content off of this. I've usually just been getting randomly hit up by people on LinkedIn. Like, hey, I've been a big fan of what you guys are doing, and I didn't even know people would be watching it on a B2B level, just observing what we're doing here. But this is a racket now that I intend to make a much higher impact on, because I truly do believe that some of the best boot camps and career transition programs, they're not making as much money as they should be because they're not as well financed and funded and well backed. And some of the people that have the biggest names in the industries, they're not even delivering 10% of the outcomes that you guys are. So I want to help the people that are actually, getting bullied by the bigger players in the market, because ultimately we need more people to help people get jobs out there. We need to create more outcomes, and we need to help create more job creators out there rather than helping create more job hunters. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Let's schedule time to talk. Looking forward to speaking with you soon.